This lesson is about volume. What is volume? Let's start by looking at some real-life objects and see what represents the volume. If we take a can of Coke, for example, the volume is represented by the amount of Coke that can fit in the can. If we talk about this glass, the volume is represented by the amount of Coke that would fill up the can. Now, what if we talk about your swimming pool? What part of your pool would represent the volume of the pool? If you put the water inside the pool, your answer would be correct. The amount of water that can fit in your pool represents the volume of the pool. So the volume of an object is the amount of space the object takes up. It's the amount of space inside the object. So when we talk about volume, we're always talking about 3D shapes. So now let's talk about prisms. And we'll start with a rectangular prism. Let's say it's a box. Maybe you're moving or you're going to ship something, and maybe you need to figure out which box has the higher volume or which has more room in it. So this would be an example of our box. And maybe it is 6 inches by 9 inches by 7 inches. When you look at your reference sheet, it says volume is capital B times lowercase h. When you see that capital B, it doesn't just mean base. A lowercase b would mean base. The capital B means the area of the base. And in this case, our base is a rectangle. So to find the area, we would do length times width. So our formula for volume would be length times width times height when we are talking about this rectangular prism. Okay, so let's substitute our numbers in. So our length is 7. Our width is 9. And our height is 6. And we put this into our calculator. 7 times 9 is 63. And 63 times 6 gives us inches cubed. When we're talking about volume, we will always have cubed for the label because there's 3 dimensions involved in finding out the volume of an object. So for this box or crate, there would be 138 cubic inches or inches cubed. That would be the volume or the amount of space that is inside the box. If we were talking about a triangular prism, then we would change our formula a little bit because the area of the base, which the capital B represents, would be found by finding the area of the triangle. So this would be half times the base of the base times the height of the base. And then that would be multiplied by the height of the whole triangular prism. Now let's look at a cylinder. So this would be like our glass or our can of Coke or a soup can. So for a cylinder, the formula, if you look on your reference sheet, is pi times the radius squared times the height. Now in this example, our radius is 4 meters and our height is 10 meters. So let's go ahead and substitute in and think about what we substitute in for pi. So we always use 3.14 for pi. Again, we said that our radius is 4 and our height is 10 meters. So think about what we do next. 4 squared is 16. And now bring down everything we haven't used yet. 3.14 times 16 is 50.24. Bring down what we haven't used. And 502.4 meters would be the volume of this cylinder. So we are halfway through our shapes. Now let's talk about a sphere. So here's our sphere. If the radius of our sphere is 7, and we'll say centimeters, then I want you to look at your reference sheet and think about what you would be substituting in to the formula for the volume of the sphere. So first, what is the formula for the volume of a sphere? Okay, you should have found that it's 4/3 pi r cubed. Now I want you to go ahead and determine what the volume is on your own, and after you put in that answer, then I will show you how to do it. Okay, so we should have 4/3 times 3.14 times our radius cubed. Oh, and I need to put in what the radius is. Our radius is 7 cubed. 7 cubed is 343 times 3.14 times 4/3. And when we do all of that together, our answer is 1,436 and 27 thousandths of a centimeter. So here is the volume for our sphere. Last but not least, we have a cone that we need to find the volume of. Our radius is 5 inches and our height is 9 inches. So go ahead and find the volume for the area of a cone. I'm sorry, the formula for the volume of a cone. You should have found that the volume equals 1/3 pi times the radius squared times the height of the cone. When we substitute in, or go ahead and find the volume, and then we will discuss the answer. Okay, so we have 1/3 times pi times the radius, which is 5, squared, times the height. So that's 1/3 times 3.14 times 25 times 9. And when we do all that, we get 235 and a half cubic inches. I think we might have forgotten the cubed part on the last one. Make sure you always have that cubed when we're talking about volume. So if you were to fill this cone up with ice cream, you would be able to fit 235.5 cubic inches of ice cream. Okay, now I'm going to give you a couple practice problems to do on your own to see how you are getting this topic. So if we have a rectangular prism with 7 feet, 9 feet, and 10 feet, what would the volume be? We have a sphere with a radius of 8 miles. What would the volume be? What about if we have a cylinder with a height of 3 inches and a radius of 2 inches? If you have not done so already, then you may now check your homework answers from last night. And if you have done that, then you can move on to Station G, which is the angle relationships worksheet that a different worksheet, but what we worked on last night for homework, until we tell you which group you're going to be working in for class time today.